My name is Caleb Olson. This is my project phase 2 presentation for Database Systems Computer Science 366. My project is the Google Location Statistics Engine. As a brief review, my experience is in Java and SQL. In Java, I've worked mostly with DAOs, data access objects, and dynamic query generators to interact with MySQL in change set style query deployment. I've also worked with table design and stored procedure creation. The idea behind the Google Location Statistics Engine is to expand on what Google already has for their location statistics that they provide to the public. They allow visualization on your location data, but they're collecting a lot more, as you can see in this JSON export file. They collect things like location confidence, activity types, heading velocity, latitude and longitude, and all sorts of other things of that nature. I would like to improve on what they already have by being able to run statistics on more of those fields that they're collecting. Some of which I already have queries created for, some I have yet to create. I would also like to include the ability to input more than one user's data to run statistics on two users at once. Some of the things I'd like to implement are most visited locations, most locations traveled in a given time period, and number of days with and without location data. Most of these things are things that Google isn't already doing. Time filtering, so you don't get all your data at once. Close encounters, this is where having multiple user inputs would come in handy. Would be able to pinpoint how close you've been with a person in a given time period. And then most common activities, so you'd be able to visualize how many times they have recorded a specific activity within a specific time period. And of course, whatever else comes to mind during development of this project. The user interactions are going to be pretty simple. There's only going to be 3 pages. The landing page is where the data collection is going to happen. Here we can prompt the user for their name and give them a place to upload their location data to run the statistics on. This allows input for multiple users. The selector page is where those selections that I was talking about in the previous slide are going to be selectable in the forms of buttons or checklists or something of that nature. This is where the user can choose what statistics to calculate on their data. It allows for multiple selections, so you can show multiple statistics on your data at once. And ultimately, this is the page that determines what queries are executed. The third page is the statistics page. After the queries are executed, this page will display the statistics based on the selections that were made. I'd like this to support graphs and charts and support multiple views on one page because you can select multiple statistics to be ran. This was my initial entity relationship diagram. I've since changed it a little bit, as you'll see on the next slide. I've done away with the redundant location tables and I've added the activity table segment. So here is my current schema design. It's subject to change. Right now I have the users and the raw place visits and the raw activity segments. The place visits is where it stores the name of the address and all those other values on the place that you were at. And the raw activity segments records confidence levels and activities such as like standing, sitting on a motorcycle, on a pedal bike, swimming in traveling in an airplane, stuff like that. And it even gives distance and accuracy levels for some of these readings too. So some of my initial queries are listed here. These reflect on that slide where I showed some of the features that I'd like to implement. On the selection page, you will be able to make selections on which statistics will be ran. Those selections will ultimately dictate which of these queries gets executed. I only have a few of them listed here. I have much more that I'd like to draft up. These are some of the more important ones that I was thinking. On the top left here, we have the most visited places. This is as simple as collecting a count of the addresses and grouping by them to see how many times you went to that particular address and then ordering by that count so you can see your most visited locations that Google has in your entire recorded location history. The visited records in a specified time period is as simple as allowing filtering for time periods, so you're not looking at all of your data. You can filter it down to, I just want to look at this particular day and see what was recorded on that day. That query allows that. I'm going to save the close encounters one for last because it's a bit complicated and it's subject to change yet still. The bottom right one, the most common activity in a specific time period. This involves that activity segment table that I was referring to earlier. Here we can, we're doing something similar with most visited places. We're collecting the most common activity by grouping by that activity type and collecting a count of it and then ordering by that count within a specific time period. So we see the most recorded activity in a time period, ordered by most down to least. So say you were biking for a couple of days on a specific week, you can filter by that time period and see if Google has recorded that your most common activity then is biking in that particular time period. And the top right one, close encounters. This one is, where do I start? This is where we can utilize having multiple location data from multiple users in one table. We will select from the same table twice and name it user 1 place and user 2 place, where the ID matches user 1 and user 2. Then we want to filter by a particular time period like we were doing before. And then at the very bottom here where we have this absolute value of latitude and longitude, what we're doing here is we're taking the difference between a particular person's latitude and longitude and grabbing the absolute value of it and making sure it is less than a specified precision value. So what we can do here is we can tell within a certain day or a certain time period and within a certain distance how many records we have close to that person. Turn the person's user 1's name and address and user 2's name and address of records that say how many times was I within 1,000 yards of person B on this week, and it'll turn all those records. Like I said, there's more queries to come, and this table design, of course, is subject to change as well, but that's pretty much it for what I have up to this point. Thank you.